Welcome everybody, and excited about start of football season. It started with 0 week last year for us, and it was fun watching some of the games late this weekend, but now it's time to kick it off. And I'm very, very proud of our program, that we're a top 20 program in preseason, understanding that postseason's what matters, not preseason. But at least people think we have a chance to be good. We're on ABC primetime in our opening game on Saturday night against a really good opponent, and we've got College Game Day for the third time in the history of our program. So a lot of positive things to kick off the season. We also just finalized a new training room that's 5.5 times bigger than the one we had previously. That's really helped our kids, and they're excited about it, and got an outdoor area upstairs. So we're also stepping up in facilities. Proud of what these guys have accomplished in the last 4 years. 4 straight bowl games, a coastal championship, going to a conference championship, and we've been good. And we've been better than we've been around here in a while, and that's important for us to know. We want to be great, and that's the next step. And our thought for the spring was, how do you get from good to great? When you've got a 40-21 lead on App State in the fourth quarter, how do you finish the game? How do you do that? Because it really hurt us last year. Give App State credit. They came back and made it one of the best games of the year, but it tarnished our defense for the rest of the year, because you don't give up 40 points in a quarter. You're sitting there and you've got a 17-point lead over Georgia Tech at home, and you get beat. How do you keep from doing that? You can't do that and get where we want to go. You lose to NC State at home on a last-second field goal. You got to finish. You got a 19-point lead, or you got a 10-point lead with 9 minutes left over Oregon, who's a great team on the road, and you've lost coaches, you've lost players, but you get beat with 19 seconds left. So those are things that we've got to figure out how to do better. Because we're a lot like the other teams in our league. There's a few that probably have better talent than anybody, and then a lot of us are a whole lot alike, and you've got to play better and coach better to win the games. And so many of our games came down to the last play or the last series last year. That's kind of what is happening in college football throughout. So that's where we are, and excited about this weekend for lots of reasons. I'll touch on coaching staff. I think it's the best one we've ever had. They're all working good together. Now what they've got to do, they're very knowledgeable. They got to take that knowledge to the field on Saturday night and make sure that we're doing what's best for our players. But I feel like we've improved in lots of areas, and a lot of that credit is to an older team, and more of that credit too is to the coaches that are all working together and trying to make sure that we keep a similar passing game and do better in the running game. We've got to stop the run and cover the deep balls better. In preseason practice, people want to know how your team looks. You can't tell, because when one part of it looks good, the other one looks bad. So if we have a scrimmage where we ran the ball well, I'm mad at our defense. If we came out and didn't run the ball well, I'm mad at the offense for not running the ball well. So it's head coach has trouble being happy in preseason when you leave the field. And all of that's happened. There have been days where the defense dominated, and there's been days where we ran for 124 yards. So all of those things are things that we will know more about on Saturday. Guys who are going to have more playing time than in the past, and I'll if you've got any of these you want to ask about individually, I will touch them. But Bo Atkinson and Jacoby Cowan are doing really well at the power end. So both of them should play Saturday night. I'm proud of them. Amari Campbell's done really, really well as a freshman linebacker. And he was here this spring, but he will play on Saturday night. DJ Jones, one of the most unselfish moves I've ever seen at a time where we talk about transfer portal. Here's a young guy comes in and says, "Coach, I want to play, so if I can play more at safety than running back, I want to move." And I said, "Well, do you want to transfer?" And he said, "No, I'll be on special teams. I want to do whatever I can do to help this team win." So he'll get to play Saturday night. Tayon Holloway's done a really good job at corner. He's a young guy that came in with 2 shoulder operations and didn't play last year. He's got length, he can run, he's a really good cover guy, he's got good skills. So we're excited about watching him. 4 quick transfers, and I may forget somebody. If I do, you can bring it back up. But Amari Gaynor is doing a good job at the outside linebacker position. He played inside linebacker at Florida State. He's come in here and changed positions because he thought it was best for him as a graduate to help him with his future with the NFL. So he will be playing along with Kamen Rucker at the jack outside linebacker position. Elijah Huzzy, he's intercepted 3 or 4 balls this preseason, which we haven't been able to do lately. He had 12 last year, I think, at East Tennessee State, and was an All-American. But he's got really, really good ball skills, and I like his game. So he's going to be fun to watch Saturday night. Derek Allen's done a really good job for us. He's improved in his tackling, and he'll be a lot on special teams, but he'll play some at safety. And Stick Lane, the young guy that played so well against us last year at Georgia State and forced 2 fumbles, will also be playing on Saturday night. Offensively, Diego Pounds has improved a lot. He and Travion Green. Travion's he's fighting a couple of injuries, but he will be back and ready for the game. It's gotten him behind a little bit, but Diego will play, and he'll rotate some with Will Barnes and Spencer Rollin. And really excited that Spencer Rollin has been nominated for the Campbell Award as the smartest player in college football. I think he had a 3.8 something grade point average at Harvard, and is a guy that should get top consideration at that point. Does that bother you all? Does it matter? Okay. I don't have any idea. Get a better song choice. No question. Connor Harrell has had a great preseason. We're really excited about seeing where he is and where he's going. He has really stepped up. And at receiver, we've got a lot of young guys that are stepping up. Andre Green, Christian Hamilton, Chris Culliver, and Doc Chapman have all had really good preseasons. And some of them still learning what to do, but they've all done really well. Willie Lampkin will start in the offensive line. He can play center or guard, really either guard. He had dislocated fingers in the spring and still practiced and never came out. He's tough, he's smart, he's driven, and we're excited about him. And then obviously you've got Nate McCullum and Tez Walker. We still haven't heard anything from the NCAA on Tez. We're hoping to hear something at least in the process and the timetable today. But at this point, it's very difficult for him and for us because we're not sure of his status for Saturday, and we're just waiting to see. So your coaches are trying to figure out if he plays, here's a game plan. If he doesn't play, here's a different game plan, and who would be in there, and we don't know when we're going to hear that. So those are things that we are looking at throughout the week. Need all of our fans to show up in Charlotte at game day and have great representation and then come to the game. Sounds like it's going to be a great crowd. And we've obviously played South Carolina in this stadium twice. The first year was fun. The second year we didn't play well, and they dominated us. And this will be the 3rd game in that one-on-one schedule, the bowl game. So this is a fun game between the two, and halfway between where a lot of fans can come and enjoy it. And it'll be a great time to showcase both programs on game day. So that'll be fun. Shane Beamer's done a tremendous job at South Carolina. He's entering his 3rd season. He's got a lot of energy. They had a lot of momentum leaving the season last year that we didn't, and they've done a great job recruiting. So as I said, it's a very difficult opener. I was looking at the openers across the country, and most of them are laughers for Saturday. Most of them are scrimmages for the teams that are going to play because they're playing teams that couldn't possibly beat them. We're not. We're jumping in with both feet because we've got a great challenge in South Carolina, especially with their momentum, and at the same time there's opportunity because everybody's going to get a first impression of this football team. And I said we lost some respect at the end of last year, and this is a very important game for us to try to get our respect back nationally. One of the buzzies around the game are the two quarterbacks. Spencer Rattler's a great player. Drake May's a great player. It's two of the best quarterbacks in the country, two NFL guys, very similar to our Oregon game with Bo Nix and Drake May. So that will showcase this game, and they've always got great skill. Juice Wells is one of the best receivers in the country. They've got a new offensive coordinator in Dowell Loggins, and he's an NFL guy. He was at Arkansas last year, so they're not sure what we're going to do with the changes with the offensive line coach and offensive coordinator here. We're not sure what they're going to do. So the first quarter is going to be some feeling out with both defensive staffs of trying to figure out what the offensive staffs will do. Questions?
You mentioned a defensive player, I missed his name, that he made the switch instead of transferring, but he wanted to help the team.
DJ Jones.
DJ, is that the type of mentality of players that college football needs more of? Rather than just go somewhere else because I'd rather help the team and do whatever I can?
It really is. He's a great student. He's a tremendous person. He doesn't even care. He obviously wants to play, but he wants to win. And it's been all about winning. And he has never come in and said, I'm down the depth chart at safety. I shouldn't have moved. He's an unbelievable young man. So, but it's a great attitude for our team, but for college football in general at a time where there's a lot of selfishness.
Where is Tez in the process, and how much are they letting you know where the process is?
Our compliance is handling the Tez process completely. They keep us updated daily. They're in the process of trying to get him in contact with them, this committee, this week, so they can either talk to him or he can present what he feels like is another reason for him to have an opportunity to play. We don't have any idea when they will respond to that, so we're just waiting.
Mack, I remember you talked about this a little before the bowl game a couple years ago, but Shane is someone who basically wants to grow up because of your relationship with his dad. It's probably kind of weird to be coaching against him now, right?
It is. I watched Shane as a young guy and loved Frank and Cheryl Beamer, and it was funny on your picture rolls last night. It popped up that Frank and I's picture in the Hall of Fame together, and I thought maybe somebody's taunting me a little bit to throw it out there in front of me. I couldn't figure that out, but I'm really, really proud of Shane, and I know we all love our kids, and I know Frank's going to really be pulling hard against us on Saturday night, but how proud Frank must be of what Shane's accomplished, and I'm really proud for Shane.
First game against a team that's known to do trick plays, do you worry about that? Obviously, you can't prepare for it.
Yeah, they've done a really good job, especially with trick plays on their special teams. Coach Limbo does as good a job as anybody in the country with those. So what it does, it keeps you from being as aggressive as you want because you got them all over the place. And you don't want to be watching for trick plays so much that you're not aggressive on your defense. But they've done a really good job of making sure that they keep you off balance. We're not sure what they'll continue to do on offense. Like they've got to wonder what we're going to do, what's going to change with their defense, or with their change in offensive line coach and offensive coordinator. We're not sure what that will mean. We feel like the defense will be similar in structure, but their special teams, they're going to fake 2 or 3 times during the game on Saturday night. That's just who they are.
Coach, you mentioned that State will be playing this Saturday. Is there any update on Young Wilkins, and he might slide to that star position?
I'm sorry?
Is there any update on Young Wilkins?
No, we'll wait and see about him on Saturday.
Mack, back to Tez. Do you all as a coaching staff this week, since you still have no resolution, have to say on Wednesday or Thursday, all right, we're just not going to happen. Like you have to sort of make your own mental deadline, obviously with the hope that you could have him Friday, or there's some sort of a drop dead date in you all's mind in terms of preparing, and when you say, okay, we need to be ready not to have him.
Yeah, Adam, it's a good question, and this is something that we're dealing with we haven't dealt with before. So Tez was really down after practice yesterday. and he didn't practice with as much confidence as he has been because he's not sure if he's going to play. And Lonnie Galloway and I met with him after practice and said, look, man, you got to prepare to play. Because if they tell you Saturday at 3:30 you're going to play,
Right.
you got to go play, and you don't want to be in a position where you're not ready to play, and you don't want to be in a position where you may get hurt because you're not out there in the right mindset. So we've told him, you plan on playing, we're going to plan on playing you, and what we've got to do, Adam, is have 2 game plans. We got to have a game plan with him and one without him. And that makes it difficult because you want your quarterback to be throwing to the guys he's going to throw to in the game, and we're not sure who he's going to be throwing to. So it's a very difficult situation for us that it's this late and we're still not sure. But he can travel. He can't dress if he's not eligible. So we're planning on him going. I'm planning on him playing. And that's the only way we can look at it. And if not, we'll just have to make last-second adjustments.
Right, you take the uniform, you take the shoulder pads.
We do.
Yeah.
But kind of going off of that on that same point, obviously he hasn't, played a game here, but if you could kind of describe like what would a UNC offense look like without, Tez potentially being in that one?
Yeah, we're not really sure. It's just the other receivers that stepped up when Antoine Green got hurt last year and Josh Downs got hurt, or neither one of them played in the bowl game. We've got some other really good guys, J.J. Jones and Gavin Blackwell and Kobe Paysor, and then the Andre Greens have to step up, and some of those young ones. Christian Hamilton's been here through the spring. Doc Chapman's playing much better. And then we're using George Pettaway some at running back and at slot. So he's in a position where he can play both. So we've just had to adjust, and instead of sitting around making excuses and, oh, poor me, you got to go play.
You mentioned Andre Green again. He was someone you guys were talking a lot this time last year. Obviously, it didn't kind of work out for him until later in the year. But for you, is there a sense of sort of delayed anticipation towards seeing a guy that you obviously liked a lot during the recruiting process get on the field and actually, contribute potentially?
Yes, the NCAA made a good rule that guys like Andre could play in the bowl game and it not cost him his redshirt year, and he played really, really well against Oregon. And then he's still been up and down some in the offseason, but he's really come on this last week. So we're hoping that he will have a great year.
Mack, earlier in the offseason, Chiswick kind of joked that you picked on him regarding the defense's performance last season. With it being his second year back in the coaching, have you maybe noticed a difference in Chiswick, how he's approaching this season, kind of with that chip on his shoulder?
Yes, Gene's a tremendous coach, and obviously he won a national championship, and he won 2. How many people have ever been in a national championship game, much less won 2, and he won 1 with us as a defensive coordinator. So I've seen what he can do and who he is. And he's much more confident this year at knowing what's happening in college football, who we are, and what we have to do to stop. And plus, there's a real good camaraderie and communication in the back end now with Jason Jones and Charlton, because they coached together at Indiana. And Jason was a defensive coordinator at 2 different places. So the back end is more together. Communication's better. Ted Monachino has really helped us up front with just watching, and he can't coach on the field, obviously, but he can tell us, I see this, this looks good. And there's no question we've got to have more tackles for loss. We've got to pressure the quarterbacks better, and to do that, you got to stop the run better on first down. So all of those things are things that we all know. Everything that you all talk about, we talk about. And everything that needs to be fixed from your standpoint, we know needs to be fixed, and we're not sensitive about it. This staff has got less ego than any I've ever been around. And I've asked them, you be hard on yourself, you be a hard self-evaluator, and you make sure that you get fixed what needs to be fixed. In fact, I told them this morning in our staff meeting, when you come in here on Sunday, there's things your unit, your position has to do to win the game on Saturday night. Make sure you know what they are, and we went over each one of them at each position. And then when you come in here Sunday, make sure you've done them. And you work on them all week. Don't do anything else except the things that are going to help us win the game. And then you take some pride in your unit on Sunday, and when we sit in here on Sunday, you can say, my group did their job. And if you can say that, we will have won the game. And if not, then it's on you, man. And you should feel really bad. You should feel bad for your players. You should feel bad for the other coaches in the room. You should feel bad for your fan base because you didn't do your job. And that's unacceptable. So this has been a really good staff to work with each other, talk to each other. Obviously, our white team, that's our second team, will do some of the South Carolina stuff this week as compared to in the past. We've just done scouts, so they're all working together really well.
I was going to ask, like I said, Greg, and I know you've been asked that many times, just what has he meant to this program? And in your opinion, could he be the best defensive player in the league?
Chip, it's another great question. Sid Gray, his message to our team and to college football is a lot like DJ Jones. He would have been a high draft choice. He would have been second or third, probably. I thought he would leave. Just about every young man here that's had the opportunity to be in that level has left. We didn't try to talk him into staying. Our job is to make sure we let him know exactly where we feel like he's going to be drafted, and then the family gets the information, they make the decision. And he came in and said, I want to stay. And I said, why? And he said, I've never won a conference championship. I haven't won a bowl game. I want to finish my degree. And he said, and I can get a whole lot better, and I want to be a first-round pick. So that attitude coming back to our team is a great message for everybody. And I do think he can be as good as anybody in the league or the country because he's that hybrid guy that wasn't highly recruited. He was a safety slot receiver, kind of a tight endish guy at 210 pounds, 203 pounds, and now he's 233 pounds and leading tackler in the country. So he's one that gives us chance to be really good. He and Kamen Rucker right now are playing really, really at a high level for our defense.
You mentioned low accuracy and Chicago, and are you pretty comfortable with where you are up front across the board defensively? Can you go too deep everywhere, maybe do a little bit more than that?
Yeah, we are. What we've got to do now is we got a lot of guys hurt there last year, so we need to stay healthy. Number one, that's important. To have a great year, you need to be healthy. If not, very few people have enough depth to overcome a lot of injuries. And the year we won the national championship, I think we had one guy miss one game. So that's important. But secondly, we've got to do what those guys do best. Kevin Hester is very different than Tamari Fox. So we've got to do a better job of giving each one of them an equal opportunity to play their best by playing to their skill set. And that's one thing we're doing a much better job of right now, and keeping fresh guys in there. You get guys as big as Miles Murphy and Kevin Hester, they're going to get tired. And you can't leave them out there. You got to get them off. Get them off the field, and we've told the kids, if you can't be 100% every play that you're out there, get off. We got somebody else, and we can do that. And all of those things should help us some on defense.
That's an older group now than it has been, and with the rule change about the clock out stopping after first downs, I guess having an older group is a little bit better for you in that situation because some of these guys got to push themselves a few extra snaps before maybe there's an opportunity to sub out.
Yes, I don't like the rule with running the clock after first downs till the last 2 minutes of the game and the half. I think it takes away snaps for the fans. We've got 120 players, and we're sitting here trying to get more kids in games, and we're taking away, they're saying 9 to 12 snaps in the game. Watching this weekend, too, and I remember, and I'm not exactly sure the circumstances, but in 2006, they had a similar rule. And we were playing Ohio State, and they had a lead, and they had the ball with 8 minutes left, and they ran out the clock. So it's much easier now for the team with a lead that can run the ball to kill the clock, and we'll see fewer comebacks. And we'll just see more teams that the game's over with 8 minutes left than before, and I don't like any of the above. I just don't think any of it's best for college football or the kids. Does it get the game over faster? Yeah, who cares? I mean, these kids are all wanting to play, and they work so hard, and now you got less time to get them in, and what comebacks are one of the great things we have in our sport, and we're going to see fewer now because of that rule. But yes, it's harder to substitute on defense than it is offense, and if on a hot day somebody's moving the ball with tempo, you've got guys that may be out there 12 plays. and you cannot substitute them if somebody's good at it. So they're going to go fast. And it'll be interesting to see how the officials handle the tempo without stopping the clock on first down. Are they going to go faster or not? So we're going to have to see all that on Saturday night.
I asked Coach Warren last week about the defense and if they're actually ready for the season to begin, and he said, well, we're undefeated. Is that a mentality you tried to instill in them in the defense, or is that something that he came up with on his own?
No, coaches are never ready for the season to start because there's always something that you need to do, and that's what I told them. If it's not working Tuesday, throw it out, man. You've been working on it since January. So either you're not coaching it right, either he's not listening, or you've got too much in. So throw it out. I don't want to see you fixing things on Tuesday game week, but coaches are the worst. We're all paranoid and all concerned and all look at every problem that could possibly come up and the unknowns. And unlike the NFL, we don't have a preseason game. Now, I've talked to these NFL guys enough. If we had a preseason game, would you play Drake or not? Who would you leave in? Who would you take out? Who would you play? Do you have to win? Well, fans get mad if you lose. Yeah, but it's not important. Well, winning's always important. So there'd be question marks, but we do not have a preseason game. So the first game we have is against a great opponent like South Carolina, and that's why you just have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. So somebody says, how are you going to be? I don't know. You never know about your team till you're in a fight in the fourth quarter, early in the season, and you see how they respond. We do have an older team, but we've got some positions where young players are going to play critical parts of our game, so you never know how they're going to respond either.
Mack,
Yeah.
can I do it?
Yeah,
Michael's next.
Thank you, Adam.
You're welcome. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
To preface the question, I mean, this is another, you've coached a lot of seasons. When you have a guy like Drake May at quarterback, Vince Young at quarterback, Colt McCoy, Sam Howell, like, when you are going into a year, do you approach it any differently, knowing that sort of talent and skill you have at that position? Does it excite you more? Do you say, I need to try to make sure I savor this a little bit because, it might not be around much longer? Like, just what is your whole approach when you have just that level of elite dude at that spot?
Yeah, well, number one, when you have a quarterback like that, you got a chance to win every game. And this is a quarterback-driven game right now. And if you don't, you better be coaching them up, man, because you got to figure out ways to win, and Drake gives us a chance to win. That's why we've got to be better on defense and make sure that we protect him better. Those two things we didn't do very well last year, and if not, we would have been in a different position at the end of the year. Do you look at it indifferently? No. You just feel like you want to take your best players and utilize them and play to their skill set. And he's fun to watch. I don't like Drake. I love Drake. And we were talking about Shane Beamer. I watched Drake grow up from a little bitty kid. Mark was a GA for us when I was here, and I love that family, and they stand for what's right in everything they do. And we talk about Ced Gray, we talk about DJ Jones. Drake May is unbelievable with what he's done for this team as a leader, as a captain. He's humble with all the national publicity that he's gotten and recognition. With NIL, he's taken it and tried to help every other player on the team. And that's what he is. I look up and he's out on the field doing a commercial with the offensive lineman. He's trying to get a seafood deal for the receivers. I mean, it's not about him. It's about everybody else on this team. And I think to answer your question better, Adam, he makes it fun because he's going to be there every day. You're going to get everything he's got every day. He's really competitive. He's smart. He's nice. He's not going to get in trouble. Most of the time, he's going to say the right stuff. Most of the time. And if he's not, he's cutting up and he's competitive. But yes, it gives us a chance to have a special year.
Mack, on the radio this morning, you said that you were really emphasizing with the team that you only get one chance at a first impression, and they're going to be, on national television college game day. In that vein, do you sort of prefer these showcase games in week one where you're playing a program like South Carolina as opposed to opening up with Florida A&M?
Yeah, I'd rather have something that we can iron out all of our problems in the opener and have this game second. That's what, when we won the national championship, I think we opened up with Louisiana Lafayette at home and then went to Columbus. But it gave us a chance. You don't show anything, but you end up figuring out, ooh, he played better than I thought, and he wasn't as good as I thought, and this didn't look as good, and we need to lean more toward this with game plan. We've got to do all that Saturday night. We don't have any chance. And then we've got App State, who's a huge game for us, and then we got Minnesota, who was 9-4 last year and won a bowl game. And then you go to Pitt, who won the league 2 years ago. So we've got no breaks. This is the toughest schedule I've ever coached, and I've told the kids that. I've said we're not going to talk about it, we're not going to gripe about it, but it is what it is. And to win on this schedule, you're going to have to be really good, and you're going to have to play every week.
So would you want to do week 0 more in the future?
We tried to do week 0 this year, and they wouldn't let us. I'd like to do it every year.
With all the talk about shortening the game, ABC has the longest TV timeouts. And I think it's the third, well, maybe a third game, but last year, State was ABC, was ABC. The coaches talked about shortening the TV timeouts as a way to shorten the game.
Yeah, and they said, we need money for sponsorship, so shut up. So, yeah, we have no input, Art. The coaches have less input right now into all of this than ever before in the history of this game. So it's just different.
You just said that you tried to play week 0, but they wouldn't let you. Who's they?
NCAA has to determine whether you play week 0 or not. They
About playing 2 years in a row?
I think I didn't get involved. Compliance does that, but I would think so.
Mack, on the running backs, obviously pretty talented room. Nobody's really stepped up in a game in the season for more than a couple weeks at a time. What does it look like in fall camp getting ready for South Carolina?
Tommy, all the guys are good. It's a blessing. Last year they all got hurt. So this year it's been different groups that have gotten hurt. So these guys have stayed healthy. Omarion should be more comfortable in his second year because he had some moments last year that were really special. And then you start looking at British. The last game British played in was against South Carolina in the bowl game. So this will be his first time back. And British, like said Gray, could have been through, wants to coach. Right after he got hurt this time last year, comes to me 2 days afterwards and was just crushed and said, I want to come back. And I didn't even know he could come back because I think it's his 6th year. But he had the COVID year. And we got with compliance, and they said yes, and he started coaching. And he was in every running back meeting, and he's just an unbelievable kid. So you can see why I like this team so much. There are the Ced Grays, the DJ Jones, the Drake Mays, and you start talking about British. Those are guys that make up this team. There's so many of them like that. It's probably the most unselfish team I've been around. They understand who we are and where we want to be, and they understand the progress. We've still got some guys that were on the team that won 2, and they understand the difference in where we are. And people talk about our bowl games. We've played good teams. I want to play good teams. That's the only way we get better. So, but British means so much to our team that it's just it's fun to have him out there.
You mentioned watching Drake May from being a little kid to now. Can you believe that at one point he was so little and now he's about to start a Heisman campaign? And I'm following up on that. What will be your first message to him as he enters the game on what will be a huge year for him?
Yeah, the number one, I'm not surprised because look at that family. They are a pedigree of champions. And Mark was a great player. Amy was a great athlete. In fact, they say she's the best athlete in the group. And when she doesn't even play much golf, she takes a golf club and walks out there and she can beat them all. So, but it's just a fun family to watch, and their dynamics are fun. And I allowed the ACC network to do all access because I wanted people to see our players. I love our players. I love their personalities. I love that they never get to see football players without a helmet. So that was the reason we did this. I wanted them to know more about the person, and especially with NIL and graduates and getting internships. I want people to know these young people, and that helps us. But what I will say to Drake on Saturday night, he'll be excited, he'll be confident, he'll be having fun in pregame, I'll say, go have fun, do your deal, man. That'll be it, because you don't have to say anything to him. And you've learned, if you have to motivate your team, it's probably not going to be a great team. They need to be motivated, and you need to coach them, because there's 120 of them. They all get motivated differently, and I've told them that. If we're having to motivate you every week, you're probably going to be up and down, and I want somebody that comes every day. And this team's practiced hard every day. I said I didn't like the way the team worked 2 years ago, and I didn't. I like everything this team's done. So I'm excited about watching them play.
Matt, earlier you were talking about Spencer Rattler and Juice Wells, kind of, pro prospects on South Carolina's offense. When you're looking at them in preparation for this game, what are some of the things they do well, and kind of what are some of those challenges they face?
They've got skill. They've got some new offensive linemen, so it's really hard for us to tell who they are right now. And they've got a new offensive coordinator. So I think that so much of that will have to be our defensive staff adjusting to what they do. They opened up early with a new quarterback against us in the bowl game. He slung one deep, and they hit it for a touchdown. So they really got us on our heels, and we never came back from it. And like Art said, they'll pull tricks on you to get momentum going. So they're a really well-coached team.
And then obviously Juice Wells wasn't on the team last time you all played them, but it's kind of like looking at his tape. What are some of the things that you think that kind of stands out?
He's one of the best receivers in the country, and he's got great catch radius, but he can fly.
Mack, what you're talking about, the way you ended last season, and maybe what you said, losing some respect, maybe nationally. Is that a card you're trying to play, or a talking point you're trying to hit on, maybe motivationally for these guys, is to remember how we ended it, and let's change that going into this season?
Yes, it's not a card I'm playing, it's facts. So we won 9 games and got less respect than a lot of people that won less than that, because of the way we finished. And 2 of the games, the teams were better than we were, and we had chances to win and didn't. The other 2, we were probably a lot alike, and didn't finish. So you got to win games in this business. That's just it's a bottom line business. If you don't win, you don't get credit, and you don't deserve credit. So that's just, it is what it is.
I know you're mindful of the deal for South Carolina, but there's so much talk still about the NCAA coming in about agency expansion. Is it bigger, conference better, or do you like the way the conference is? Obviously, you're not going to keep voting.
No.
How do you feel about it?
Chip, I don't know. It's really confusing. You've been around this a long time. I've been around a long time, and to see the changes that are happening across the board is really unbelievable. I still feel like in a couple of years there's probably going to be separation more, and there's going to be about 50 that play, and it's going to be more like the NFL, and I think that's probably where it's all heading. I don't know how it gets there, but money is the driving force, period. And when we talk about student-athlete welfare, they don't get a vote, and we need to think about them and taking care of them. And I know we say we're giving them more money with NFL and all that stuff. We are, but we still have to think about what's best for the player, the parent, and their travel. Are we going to start paying parents to travel if we're playing all over the country? And then thirdly, our fans. What's happening to the fans? If fans can't afford to go to games, well, are we taking opportunities away from them? So, and also, with NIL, we're asking fans to pay for these facilities. We're asking them to pay money for collectives. When does that stop? This isn't, what we're doing isn't sustainable. So there has to be some decisions made here, and I think pretty soon, about what's best in all cases for those groups I was talking about. If we lose our fans, we lose everything, because they're the ones that pay for it. If we aren't taking care of kids, we're not doing what we say we're doing, and I worry about both right now.
Mack, you mentioned guys like British who were here for the bowl game in South Carolina a couple years ago. Are you planning to mention the bowl game at all this week as motivation, or is it just sort of a living in the present?
They know. They were there. It was one of the worst games I've ever seen. So we coached poorly and played poorly. It's one, I threw all my bowl stuff away after the game. I felt awful about that game for North Carolina and for these kids. I felt like we let everybody down, and one of the more disappointing games I've ever coached. So I think they.
One more game. Mack, let me ask you about the guys know it, they understand. How much is it from the coaches to get players focused on what's important to be great versus how much is an individual player to get it? Don't lose to Georgia Tech in your head. Where's the line that you guys draw as far as the coaching staff versus what you expect out of the player to understand that without having to be told it?
Yeah. Tommy, I think when you tell them don't lose to Georgia Tech when they're ahead, they say, well, yeah, we got it, Coach. You have to give them things that they can do better so you don't lose. And that game was between a rival game and a rival conference game. I got it. It had a chance to be a flat game for us. We're up 17-0, and we still have a 75-yard touchdown call back and drop a touchdown pass with a guy that never drops balls. So we had our chances there, but what do you do on a day-to-day basis to make sure that you're playing at 100% every Saturday? Do you have to get in bed faster? Is it what you're eating? Is it what you're drinking? Is it not studying enough video? Is it not understanding the concept of, if you're the safety, what the linebacker does? If it's not getting your feel because you're not 100% in practice, what are those individual things that go from being good to great? I think I mentioned it at an earlier press conference, but C.L. Shepard came in and said, we all say do the little things right, but they're so easy and so simple. A lot of the times we don't do the little things right. And he's so right. So we have made a huge emphasis on mental errors, missed assignments, penalties. And after every practice, we put up on the board how many we had and who they were. And we said, if you're going to have these, you're not going to play because they lose games. And if you go back and say, well, I didn't know what to do. Why didn't you know what to do? And these are things that should help us against Georgia Tech. Why don't you know what to do? We've been practicing since January. So I tell the coach, either you're not coaching him right, either he's not focused and paying attention, or you've got too much in. It's one of those three things, and you got to figure it out. And you need to figure it out now, because on Sunday, I don't want the same mistakes that I see on Tuesday. Because if you do, that's when you get beat. And Coach Bowden had one of the greatest quotes of all time: don't keep practicing something that's not right. And coaches do that. If you keep making the same mistakes, then you ought to be fired, because you fix them. Fix them. And it's our job not to do what we think we know. It's my offense. It's my defense. We need to do what is best for the skill set of our team. That's what coaching is. It's taking the ones you've got and teaching them to do things better than the other bunch. That's all it is. I think it was Coach Gaither at Florida A&M one time that said, why is Coach Bryant such a great coach? He can take his and beat mine, and he can take mine and beat his. That's coaching. Don't gripe about what you don't have. Don't gripe about what you have. Go do what they do best. And I've told our staff, if we play 100%, and we have coached them well, and we get beat because the other team's better than we are, I can handle that. I can't handle not being 100%. I can't handle guys not knowing what to do, and I can't handle mistakes. I can't handle that. That's our job. So be big guys and admit it. Don't be sensitive. It's facts. It's facts. And if you do your job, you win the game. And if they're better than you are, either don't schedule them or recruit better. I mean, this stuff's not complicated. I have said, football is very simple. People are complicated. And what we've got to do is put our guys in the best position to win, and that's our job. And if we don't do it and we get criticism, we should. I'm critical of us. I mean, that's who we are. So, and that's what I've said. Most opening games, and Brian Anderson I love, and he's really smart. And I'd always say, more games are lost than won. So after about the third year, Brian came to me and said, will you explain that to me? I've been hearing that for 3 years, and I don't know what that means. So most people will mess up more stuff Saturday night than we fix. And that's what happens. There's fumbles in first game. There's block kicks in first games because you haven't been able to do it all live against somebody else. There's guys going the wrong place. There's guys that get nervous and and miss a protection that hits a quarterback that gets a fumble. Most guys are carrying it sloppy because you haven't tackled as much as you're going to tackle Saturday night. So most opening games are like bowl games. They're lost more than they're won. So what you have to do is keep from losing the game before you go win it. Now, some fan that hates me anyway is going to say, he just said he's going to be conservative and try to keep from winning the game. That's not what I said. That's what you heard. But mistakes on Saturday night will probably be what we're talking about after the press conference, or after the game at the press conference. And instead of who played great, it'll be who missed too many tackles and who dropped a touchdown pass. And it's about what you didn't do more than what you do.
Mack, are you still having fun?
I am still having fun when we win. I don't like losing. I mean, that's it. But I do think, like I said, if we're doing our job, and our job means that we're taking care of these kids off the field, and I really worry about mental health right now, more than ever before for all of our children and grandchildren. And I talk to the kids every day. If I could save a kid's life because he didn't need to be playing football, I would quit my job to save his life, 100%. It wouldn't even be in question. So I've told our kids, your mental health is the most important thing you do. Then secondly, grow up. Learn how to be a guy that gets up every morning and you're accountable. And I left them with this yesterday. This team needs to be really tight on Saturday night, tight together, tight-knit, and great communicators, because it's going to get tough. And when the tough stuff comes in, you better hang in there tough together and fight through it. You better be confident, because if you go into a national TV game without confidence, it's going to show up fast. So you better be confident. And the third thing is you better be tough. You better be mentally tough, and you better be physically tough. If you're those three things, you have a chance to win every game. And if you're not, then it's not going to work for you, and we're going to be looking back. And I don't like regrets, and I don't like excuses. And if you don't give everything you've got Saturday night, you're going to regret it when you're 40. And everybody's going to be talking about it. I will be thinking about the Mayo Bowl when I'm 82, because I didn't do my job. And I hated that game. And I hate it to this day, and I'll hate it the rest of my life. The second one's excuses. Why make excuses? That excuses give you an opportunity to lose, and it's okay. And if I make excuses to the staff, then they're going to make them to the players, and it's okay to lose. And there's absolutely no reason to have excuses because they don't work. Sometimes you ask me a question about an injury, and I tell you that guy was hurt, and people think it's an excuse. No, it's a fact again. I like facts. But so get yourself ready to play, know what to do, hang in there tight through tough times on Saturday night, be very, very confident, and play tough, mentally and physically. And if you do all that, then you can walk out of there with your head up. And I want to walk out of every stadium after the game being proud. That's what I want. And I've told them all, you do all that, then find a way to win. And if you're doing those things, it's easy to find a way to win. If you're not ready, if you're not confident, you can't overcome some stuff and win. You'll give into it. You'll have bad body language. And I've said, don't let anybody ever see you sweat, and don't have bad body language. That's why when things are bad on the sideline, I'm being positive. Because they're all going to look at me to see if I think we've still got a chance to win. And if I'm doing this with my head down and shaking my head, they know it's over. So I've got to make sure our team knows that I feel like we still have a chance to win regardless of the circumstances. And that's important. Then I've got to do a better job after losses of learning from them and picking it up for the next week, because I don't do that very well. I think of all the things I do, that's the worst. I feel like that I've let everybody down when we lose. And I do that. I'm horrible at that. And I said I was going to do better when I came back, and I lied. So I'm not. And I told the players yesterday, hope we don't lose any, but when we do, I'm going to do a better job of picking us up and getting ready for the next game instead of being so down about this one, because that doesn't do any good. And I say get your head back up and get back to work. I don't do it very well. So that's something I've got to do a better job of.
All right.
Okay, thank you.